were people who bravely risked everything to tell the world the truth, while the fat cat media owners won't share that truth. Politics, lobbying, public relations and the mainstream media, including the social media platforms, sit comfortably within their bubble of you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. And the result is a whitewashed, sanitised, cowardly media who protect the interests of the most powerful to the detriment of the most vulnerable. For fear of printing something that their shareholders or politicians might take issue with, they're scared to say anything at all, unless it's about someone who's powerless to affect their flow of press releases and money. Only when they are punching down, degrading the powerless, can they let creative juices flow and write some over-exaggerated clickbait that sells papers and drives website traffic enough to yet again keep the shareholders happy.
Shame!
So we're here today to tell the BBC and all the mainstream media that we see you for the cowards you are.
Yes!
We see your use of passive language when describing Israeli attacks. As an ex-BBC employee said, we often seem to prefer to leave Israel out of the headline, if at all possible, or cast doubt on who could be to blame for airstrikes. We see how you choose photos to accompany your articles, how you condemn Palestinian violence, accompanied by a photo of a youth throwing a stone, while articles that barely describe and never condemn Israeli violence are accompanied by photos of some of the most highly trained soldiers in the world with cutting-edge military weapons. This tactic has convinced many people in the world that a stateless, oppressed population is more dangerous than a trained military force with an annual budget of at least $30 billion US. We see you quoting Israeli sources as dependable while undermining the credibility of Palestinian health and humanitarian agencies by linking them with Hamas. Headlines are quick to label the source of death tolls in Palestine as being from the Hamas-led health ministry, yet Israel is quoted freely and without question. Recently, Israel has confirmed it is holding Gaza hospital director, Dr. Hussam Abu Safia, after earlier telling a local NGO that it was unaware of his case. The BBC labelled this as a confusion. It's dangerously contradictory to, on one hand, refuse to recognise Palestinian sources while simultaneously holding them to a higher standard than the Israeli government and ministry and military. We see you downplaying or omitting Israeli war crimes. At the time of writing this speech, the BBC website dedicates a section to the Israel-Gaza war, as if Gaza is allowed to have an army to defend itself, as if it is not a genocide. The top three stories are: US confident Gaza ceasefire will begin on Sunday. How did we reach the Israel-Hamas ceasefire deal in Gaza? What we know about the Gaza ceasefire deal. In the articles, the BBC reminds readers that the current conflict started on 7th of October 2023.
Lies!
Refusing to acknowledge the century of violent oppression of the Palestinian people by the Zionist Israeli movement which preceded it. Nowhere in all of this celebratory Western backpatting does it mention the 21 Palestinian children and 25 women among the 87 people killed in Gaza since of the ceasefire deal. As Israel's relentless air attacks intensified, surely their aim to address any threat from Hamas was better served in their current talks with Hamas. Surely, with the return of hostages in negotiation as the first step in the ceasefire deal, bombing at such a time was only going to increase chances of burying their own hostages under the carpet of rubble that they have lain across Gaza. There is no explanation to this action.
It was never about the hostages.
Except the desire to kill as many Palestinian people as they could before their time runs out. This action, along with so many others, is an act of genocide, and again the media are too cowardly to call it out. After all we have seen, safe zones carpet bombed, whole refugee camps up in flames, schools and hospitals annihilated, 50,000 people dead and 2 million displaced, the media have exhausted any benefit of the doubt they were due. Their refusal to report accurately and fairly is complicity in genocide. What the continued bombing does show is that Israel's bloodlust or landlust is not satiated. So why are they considering a ceasefire deal? Because of the international pressure of the people. Through boycotting and peaceful protest, we disrupted the capitalist wheels just enough to make Israel say, we have enough for now, and reopen the same ceasefire deal they declined months ago. So the media can downplay, they can omit, they can restrict the reach of our social media posts and block our accounts, but they can never silence our voices. We will keep calling out media reporting that is not complete, accurate, fair and just, and we share those brave journalists and outlets who are striving for truth. We will keep calling on our politicians to ensure justice is served. For the international governments, armies, media outlets and individuals who are complicit in this genocide, who committed crimes against humanity, to be held accountable and charged for their crimes. International law must mean something again.
Yes!
Most importantly, we will talk about Palestine. We will share the stories of the people of Palestine, and we will scream until the ceasefire is finalised. There is full withdrawal of Israeli forces from Palestine. Displaced people are allowed to return to their homes. There is a permanent end to oppression and genocide and the end of Israel's illegal occupation.